If the filibuster obstructs us, we will abolish it. If the Supreme Court objects, we will expand it, and we will not rest until we have taken weapons of war out of circulation in our communities.
This gun would be banned.
I hope the gun is not loaded.
I'm at my house. I can do whatever I want with my guns.
If you're not here for the children, why don't you go to the funeral of the killer?
And you should propose the amendment, which is what you really want, which is to repeal the Second Amendment to the Constitution.
Enough with these bogus arguments about the Second Amendment.
Well, the back and forth in the House, fiery as usual on an emotional issue like guns. But there is real conversation happening on Capitol Hill. Senator Susan Collins from Maine, a Republican, on the status of talks. We're making rapid progress toward a common sense package that could garner support from both Republicans and Democrats. There apparently is a framework being talked about. We don't know exactly what that includes. But the president's going to talk about it tonight from the White House in a speech at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll see here. Let's bring in our panel. Byron York, chief political correspondent of the Washington Examiner, Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and Washington Post columnist Mark Thiessen. Mark, we've always gone down these roads, and they've always come to a cul-de-sac when dealing with this big issue. Does it feel different this time? And what do you think we hear from the president tonight?
Well, that hearing with those clips you just showed doesn't feel any different at all. That was just a bunch of virtue signaling that the Americans have great confidence in their government being responsive to them after watching that. We'll see what President Biden says tonight. This is an opportunity, once again, for President Biden to choose to unite the country. And the question is he going to choose to unite the country, or is he hasn't done it so far, or divide us? There is a possibility to get something done on guns. There is a common ground on enhancing red flag laws, enhancing school security, enhancing background checks, even more money for mental health. Those are things that could happen. So if the president goes out tonight and talks about those things, then that's a sign that something could happen and that he's uniting us. If he starts talking about all these Democratic talking points that are designed to gin up his base, then we know he's not serious.
I mentioned the quote, Leslie, of Senator Collins, Republican. Here's Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat. So, Leslie, will the progressive side of your party accept something that's not as bold as a lot of people say it should be?
I really do think so, because it's hard. Mark, we rarely agree, but I would agree with you. And Brett, that cul-de-sac analogy is just right on the money, because this doesn't feel different. I think most of us thought something will be done after Sandy Hook, and then again and again and again, and here we are yet again. Look, the overwhelming majority of people, as we know in this country, voters, are okay with the background checks. Many with, the red flag laws, even in the state of Texas. Ages to be tweaked. We know that on the 18th birthday of the murderer in the state of Texas, if the laws had not been reduced from 21 to 18 in Texas last year, all of those people, those children, would be alive today. And in addition to that, I would also say waiting periods. We saw in Tulsa, gun bought same day, somebody angry, somebody heated. Sometimes you do need that period to cool off. The problem here is, Brett, that so many of the Republicans are beholden to the NRA, and 6 to 8 Republicans, that's great, but that's not enough. And I fear that no matter how united the president is when he speaks on this tonight, some of that message will fall on deaf ears because of the NRA.
Byron, let's quickly finish on the gun issue. I just want to point out, in Chicago over the last 4 days, there have been more than 70 shootings. Doesn't get a lot of play. We mention it, but these individual shootings are getting risen to a different level. But what's happening in Chicago is just amazing.
And safe to say nearly all of them are being committed with handguns, which is not the subject really of the debate on Capitol Hill. I think the president has to make note of the fact that the gun control debate has really shrunk in recent years. If you listen to Senator Murphy since Uvalde, he's been saying many, many times, I know we can't get any big things done. We're not going to ban assault weapons, but maybe we can get smaller things done. So I think that there is actually actually some hope for passing something like that in the Senate. Now, in the House, they're passing working on a smaller package of gun control measures, but Nancy Pelosi wants to bring up an assault weapons ban next week, which is going to go absolutely nowhere in the Senate. Even if it could pass the House, it may not be able to do that. So there's a lot of talking. We heard those exchanges at the House, but there is actually a chance for those smaller things that Senator Murphy is talking about.
And quickly, Mark, hearing tonight that the president is now going to do this trip to Saudi Arabia. AP reporting as gas prices soar, Biden leans towards visiting Saudi Arabia. Such a meeting could also ease a fraught, uncertain period in the partnership between Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, and the United States, but also risks a public humbling for the U.S. leader, who in 2019 pledged to make a pariah of the Saudi royal family over the 2018 killing and dismemberment of U.S.-based journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Obviously outreach to Venezuela, as I talked with the Colombian president earlier in the show, going potentially to this visit in Saudi Arabia, but yet not doing anything on permits here in the U.S. is quite a disconnect.
Yeah, it's like the 1970s all over again. We've got the president of the United States begging OPEC to produce more oil, begging Saudi Arabia to produce more oil. And why would we want to give oil jobs to Venezuelan workers and Iranian workers? They wanted to do it through the Iran nuclear deal, or Saudi workers instead of workers in Texas, Oklahoma, and Alaska. Just makes no sense from a national security standpoint, makes no sense from an economic standpoint, but climate is more important than the climate of people's personal finances to this administration.
All right, panel, thanks. Appreciate it. Have a good night.